Strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Are you a god?
I'd buy that for $1.
What are you?
정과이든? 비정과이든?
I'm Batman.
When someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
We have such sights to show you.
All right, and we are back in the Indie Dorks projection booth for another episode of Bill and Claire's Excellent Adventures, which is particularly on point today because we are going to be watching the
Bill
sequel.
And Ted's Bogus Journey.
That's right.
The sequel of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
Yep, and this is by your request, Claire. So, without talking about the trailer or anything, what from the original made you want to watch the sequel so badly?
I wanted to watch the sequel because I wanted to see what's different from the original of the sequel. What's different from the original to the sequel? Because normally when I see sequels, they're like one thing is different because it's by a different director normally. Mm-hmm. But this one is a different type of sequel. Mm-hmm. It's a sequel that's by the same director, but it's about the bad side. Mm-hmm. The first one was about the good side by the same director, Peter Hewitt, but this is the bad side. The original is the good side.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see what's different from the good side to the bad side.
Okay. The directors are different. Stephen Herrick directed the first one, and Peter Hewitt directed the second one. Oh. But what do you mean by good side to the dark side? What does that mean?
I mean, like, normal sequels have, like, how normal sequels are, like, it's the same exact thing, except there's just some minor tweaks in it. But this sequel is like, it's like bad. It's like the bad side and the good side. The good side is like when they have fun in in the past, like that. And then the bad side is when someone bad does something from the future and comes back to do something to change it.
Right. So I think Ed Solomon, who co-wrote the first one, also co-wrote this one. So you do have some continuity, and the actors are the same. Now, let's see. Why don't you go ahead and read what it says the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is about.
A tyrant from the future creates evil android doubles of Bill and Ted and sends them back to eliminate the originals.
Yeah, that's not very descriptive, is it?
Nope.
So we watched the trailer. What did you think of the trailer?
I thought that it showed too much of some parts.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Like the scene where they're down in the... It showed like that whole scene of down in the big trench when they were pushed off the cliff. Mm-hmm, it shows too much of that scene.
Oh, you think so?
I think it shows almost the whole scene.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll find out, right? So the trailer, I think, definitely makes this movie seem a little bit scarier. I mean, first of all, they're dead this time.
True.
And it looks like they spend a lot of time playing games with death and in sort of like a nightmare, like living out their nightmares, or maybe kind of stuck in sort of a hell or something like that. What did you think about that?
I thought it was weird a little bit.
Yeah? Now, having seen the trailer and seen those images, do you think that it's going to be too scary? Do you think that did it make you want to watch it less or more?
More.
Yeah? How come?
Because I really like watching scary movies. Mm-hmm. Because I watched Coraline, the whole movie.
Yeah, what did you think of Coraline?
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah? Was it scary?
Especially those button eyes.
Yeah, I think the button eyes are super creepy. But you like that movie, though, right?
Yeah, I liked it. It just gave me nightmares for 2 days.
All right. Well, let's see. Do you have anything else that you want to say about this before we jump and watch the movie?
Nope.
All right.
Because I want to keep it short I want to keep it short. Because we had a goal of doing 25 or maybe 25 minutes for all of it put together, except for you're just like only you at the end, like that. Except for that, we tried to make a goal of 25 minutes only, and like the first part is like 5. It's like 4 or 5 minutes, and then the next one is like 13, 12, 13 or 14 minutes. So that it's like has a goal of just 25 minutes.
I think we've come closer to that goal than further away. I don't think we've quite hit it.
Because last time we did 8 minutes, and this time we only have 5 minutes and 28 seconds.
All right. Well, then, since Claire is counting the seconds, we will stop for right now, and we'll see you back on the other side.
Bye!
Whoa! Who are you? Ted! It's the Grim Reaper, dude! Oh. How's it hanging, Death?
You will come with me.
And we're back!
What are we back from? If you're gonna
We're
do
back
the
from
intro, you gotta do the job.
We're back from watching Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
All right. So yeah, we're back, and what did you think of it?
I liked it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What do you want to talk about first?
What do I want to talk about?
Well, you're in the driver's seat. You've brought us back, so that's the job, right? You got to pick the first topic that we're going to talk about.
First topic is how the characters looked.
Okay, first topic: how the characters looked. All right. So, did Bill and Ted still feel like Bill and Ted to you from the original?
Yeah, except for the end. I don't like that. When Bill had his really long beard and Ted had the mustache and beard.
You were mad about the beard. You did not like it. Why did you not like that?
Because I don't like really long hair, except for if it's on your hair. Like your hair is really long, like Rapunzel's.
I see.
I would not like it if it was called Rapunzel Boy, and the Rapunzel Boy had really long beard hair.
Is this all a commentary that you want me to shave my beard?
No.
No, my beard's okay. It's not offensive.
No.
What did you think about robot Bill and Ted? Not good robot Bill and Ted, but bad robot Bill and Ted. What did you think of when they were in the classroom in the future, and Denamolo said, "What are you guys?" And they tore off the face masks off their head, and they were the robots underneath. Was that scary? Was it a good effect? What did you think about it?
That kind of creeped me out when I did that. I went.
Okay.
But if you don't know what I did, I just pretended to gag.
Yeah. It was a very visual reference there. Okay.
I pretend I gagged, but I didn't actually puke, but I gagged, and then I closed my eyes until I knew it was over.
Okay. Well, that's a reaction. So I don't understand. Did you not like it? Is that what it was?
I didn't like what happened there.
What happened there?
So they tore off, so it looked like they were real people, but they tore off their faces to show the robot thing. Mm-hmm. That's what triggered my reaction.
Well, so I think especially with that effect, and then some of the stuff when they were in hell, this movie's much scarier and much more gnarly than the original movie. Did it feel like a different kind of movie to you?
Not that much.
No? What felt the same?
Bill and Ted.
Mm-hmm.
they still use the telephone machine, telephone teleporter, to put you into the past and the future and everything. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Wait, what were we talking about again?
We were talking about the look of the movie. What did you think about the set construction when they were in hell? Not when they were on the boulder going to meet the devil, but once they had fallen through into the tunnels. What did you think of, like...
Granny.
Yeah. What did you think of Granny?
I did not like her. She's the exact opposite. I bet... Because you said at the beginning of the movie that they were the nightmares. That those were all their worst nightmares. So I'm betting that he had a very awesome Grammy, and her teeth were pretty. And then his nightmares is that Bill's granny was terrible and had ugly teeth. I bet that was his nightmare.
And you don't ever have nightmares about meeting your granny and being terrified that they're gonna ask for a kiss over their birthday present?
No.
Okay, that's good because Grandma and Grammy might listen to this, so it's good that you speak well of them. What did you think of you know what my favorite part is when they go into Ted's nightmare about going to the Alaskan military boarding school. I like how
it's both their nightmare.
Well, it definitely is both their nightmare. But I like how the beds are shaped at weird angles. Like, instead of just being regular bunk beds like you would see, the angles are like these big blocks of wood that jut out into funny shapes. Sort of like I would think that they would look like maybe if you were having a nightmare about being in that place. When you have bad dreams, do you find that things look different in your bad dreams than they normally would?
Yeah, because once I had a bad dream where the bees looked like people with bee wings and black and yellow, but they were super tiny, but had a really big stinger. So it's like if you put your pointer finger and hand together in a circle, it's like that. But then they have a big stinger the size of if you put your whole hand together in a big circle.
But they were people with bee wigs on?
Yes.
What is this nightmare about?
It's about a nightmare. It's about a movie. It's about a movie that someone told me they had seen, and then I had a nightmare about it.
Okay.
It's called the Night of the Bee.
Okay. And do you have this nightmare often, or was it just the one time?
About once a week.
Once a week? Oh my gosh.
That whole month, last month, that once every Wednesday I would have that nightmare because the very first time I heard about it, it was on a Wednesday.
Do you find that when you have nightmares that you have the same nightmare over and over, or do you find that your nightmares are different?
Sometimes I have the same nightmare. Sometimes I have nightmares that are related but not the exact same thing. Like zombie.
Kind of like they take place in the same world, but it's a different story or something like that?
No. I mean, it's like both about the same topic but a different story.
Oh, okay.
Like, they're both... Like, I had two nightmares. One... They're both zombie nightmares, but they're in different stories.
Okay.
Because, like, in one of them, I'm the zombie, and then in the other one, I'm a victim of a zombie.
What's the nightmare where you are a zombie?
I am trying... A lot of people have had bad relationships with the zombies. But, like...
Because they eat people, so
yes,
how could they have a good relationship?
But I was a zombie who don't eat people, I eat animals.
Oh, and then they wouldn't be friends with you because you were a zombie, but you were like, but I'm a good zombie, I only eat animals.
Yeah, and because that's what the other zombies say, but they were just tricking them just so they could get close to them.
And then eat them.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like classic zombies right there. That's a sad
But these
nightmare.
zombies can run, walk, and have feelings.
All right, well, let's go back to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Let's see. What else, in terms of the look of the movie, stood out to you? Any costumes or Any particular sequence of events stand out to you that you really enjoyed?
When the bad robots...
Okay. So she was making a gesture, and I couldn't tell what it meant. When the robots tear open their guts, and you get to see their insides.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because you got to see like blue lights and everything, and my best friend, and one of my best friends wants to be an engineer when they grow up, and it was talent, and it was bring your favorite object to school day. I brought one of my American Girl dolls, but my best friend,
just describe what she brought.
But my best friend brought some type of like robot ice cream.
Oh.
That keeps refilling every time you eat the whole thing. She has a machine that refills it.
Oh, wow.
And it's really blue and awesome.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the inside, because it triggered the memory of her bringing that in there.
Gotcha.
She said she didn't make it herself. Her mom and dad helped her. Yeah. But she did most of the work.
What did you think about the character of Station then, who was really good at making good robot Bill and Ted?
It was pretty cool, because it was two Martians, by what they say, but I don't think that's a Martian.
Yeah.
Anyways, these two so-called Martians.
She did finger quotes, by the way.
The Martians. They're two people, but they split. But they make they start running together, and there's a big steam, and then you see a big lob, and then there's more steam, and then when the steam clears up, it's one big person Martian. Right. But it's not an actual person; it's the body of one. But it looks exactly like the little guys, the two little guys who formed together to make that.
My favorite part about Station is how Station says "station" to everything. Station. Station!
And in one of the newspapers at the end, it's like, one word can mean anything.
Station. Station.
Station.
Station.
Station. Station. Station.
Yeah. Station. Station. Maybe the rest of our podcast, we should just say the word station, and people will figure it out while we're doing it. Station? No.
Station, station, station. I said, that's really funny. Station, station, station. That's really funny.
So, what did you think? How do you think the actors did who play Bill and Ted at playing evil Bill and Ted? Do you think that they did a good job?
Yeah. But I don't know how they got the robot costume that actually moves. What if they're actual robots?
They might be. What if they made actual evil robot Bill and Ted?
Or what if they made good robots? Like they were actual good robots, but they were just playing the part of a bad robot. That way they can actually pull the skin.
So they built good robots, and then they asked the good robots to pretend to be the bad robots so that they could film the bad robot scenes.
Yeah.
That sounds expensive.
What if they built it by extra materials?
That would be pretty cool.
Or actors do have a lot of money. What if they made the actors pay a whole bunch of money so that they could use, so like they had to pay for their job, and then they would give them back money, but they paid much more than what they got back. So
that
each actor, and they're like tons. Each actor gave them $1,000, and then there's like $1 million. Then they can use that $1 million to make those two bad robots.
I don't know if I would take that job if they said I had to pay to show up and contribute to the set design and the prop creation.
I don't mean all of them. I just mean some of them.
Oh, okay.
I just mean like the main people and then 6 more.
I think my favorite thing, so Alex Winters and Keanu Reeves play Bill and Ted. And I think that my favorite thing about this movie, because I hadn't seen it in a long time either. This is my first watch, I think, since I was a kid. But I thought that they did a fantastic job of playing evil, ridiculous versions of themselves. Like, I fully believe that they were excited to kill the good versions of themselves and torture the princesses and, trash their houses. Like that scene where they're jumping around and dunking their own heads into the basketball hoop and stuff.
That kind of creeped me out.
Could you not see like evil versions of Bill and Ted doing that? Like they would be trying to destroy stuff and they would get distracted from destroying stuff and then they would start playing basketball with their heads. Like that just is such a perfect fit for them as evil characters. At least I thought. What did you think?
I thought it was kind of funny when Evil Bill took his head off and then tried to make a dunk, and then his head got stuck on the fan. And it was going around and around, and he was like, "Wee, this is fun." And he's like, "Dad, get me down from here."
And then
something like that, and then he throws him in the trash can.
I like when Ted gets Bill's head and he's holding Bill's head and Bill's head is like, "I'm fully gonna tackle you, dude."
Because they're pretending to play football or basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And then he dunks his head in the trash can and says, "Woohoo! 2 points! 2 points for Ted, 0 for Bill."
So what did you think of the story overall?
It was fun.
It was fun? Just fun?
No, it was lots of fun.
Well, okay, so let's compare it to the original one, right? So like the story in the original one...
More fun.
You think is more fun? What made this one less fun?
No, I mean...
This one is more fun than the original?
Yes, this one is more fun.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me flip the question. What made Bogus Journey more fun than Excellent Adventure?
It made it more fun because it had much more action. Because in the Excellent Journey, it doesn't have that much action because they're lazy. They're lazy teenagers.
Yeah, that's true. Like, there's
not that much action. But then in the next one, they had learned not to be lazy and stuff. And then there's lots of action and kicking and stuff. That's pretty fun.
Also, like, there's actual villains in Bogus Journey. Yeah. Like, Death, even though Death becomes their friend, he's an adversary. Like, he's sort of, like, against them at first. And, like, evil robot Bill and Ted are villains. And then there's Denomalos, who's a villain. But, like, in the first one, it's really just Bill and Ted being lazy. Like, laziness is the villain of the first one.
That's funny.
Do you think I'm right, or do you think that's wrong?
I think that's right.
Yeah? It definitely makes it a more dynamic movie, the second one, to watch. Because, like, you can't root against laziness, I feel like, in the first one. Like, like you're like, oh, they're gonna just figure out to not be lazy. Yeah! Whereas this one, like, they have to beat death and they have to beat the evil versions of themselves. Like, there's...
Well, technically, it wasn't that hard to beat death because he was always losing. And then was like... And then it was like, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, 5 out of 7.
What did you think of when they were playing death? Were you worried that they wouldn't win?
No. Wasn't worried that much because I don't think you wouldn't need to work that hard to beat Death because normally Death is pretty lazy. He just walks around with the hammer thing and is like, okay, because you were bad, you go to hell. Okay, because you were good, you go to heaven.
Oh, okay.
He never has to actually fight, so I wasn't worried that much.
So you think because he doesn't fight, okay, I could see that. Do you know, the thing that I liked about this was that, like, kind of like the big idea of the movie, right, is that they have to become adults. They have to stop being kids. They have to do the things that they're supposed to do as adults. And I liked a lot that when they went to hell, the nightmares that they faced were their childhood nightmares, like going to boarding school, or being terrified of grandma or stuff like that. And that's what they had to overcome, was their childhood stuff so that they could be grown-ups. What did you think about that?
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's see, what was the scariest part of the movie?
When that Gorgon thing.
Mm-hmm. What Gorgon thing?
The head of hell. The Gorgon thing.
Oh, the devil.
Yes.
Yeah. The devil was the scariest part.
Mm-hmm.
When they were standing on the rock and the devil was bringing those, I guess, what are they on? Like boulders attached to chains, and they were going to get chewed up in some kind of excavating machinery or something.
that thing was probably bringing them to that thing is probably bringing them to that thing is probably bringing them to actual hell. Like, you know how you had to get through Jesus and all that line in heaven? Maybe that is what brought you to the actual hell.
What did you think about when they were ghosts? Did you enjoy that part?
Yeah, didn't enjoy when the lady put her own son and his friend, technically her own son.
Her one stepson and her current stepson sent them to hell. Yeah, that's not a cool reaction. Like, if you're doing a seance and you're trying to summon ghosts and they talk to you, like, don't just send them straight to hell because your seance works, right? That's not cool.
And what probably triggered the thought that they were evil spirits is because they were talking over each other. They were like, blah, 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 blah. It sounded like nothing. It sounded like
I like that.
That's probably what triggered the thought of how the thought
of
sorry, I forgot my thought. I'm thinking.
It triggered the thought of, I'm sorry, I forgot my thought. That's funny.
It triggered the thought of
them being bad spirits. Yeah. All right.
When it's her stepson and then current stepson.
So we've talked about the acting. We talked about the effects. We talked about the story. What else do you want to talk about for this one? Do you have anything else you want to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Party on, dudes!
Be excellent to each other. Which between the two, is this one your favorite one, Bogus Journey?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you recommend it to people?
Yeah. And my favorite catchphrase is, party on, dudes!
Okay. All right. Well, then I think that we should end this segment and throw it over to me on the other side. But you started the segment, so you should close it out.
Bye. Okay, wait. See, my dad is supposed to say, see you on the other side, because he does a segment just for adults so that they know, like, what the movie's like without, like, me. It's just him.
Yeah. What do you think I talk about in that part?
I think you talk about if you should, like, recommend it to if parents are watching, if you're going to recommend it to your kids. Like that.
Okay. All right. Well.
Bye.
See you on the other side.
J7.
Hit. I hit. You have sunk my battleship.
Excellent! Yeah! I totally knew you put it in the J's, dude. Good thinking, Ted.
You must play me again.
What?
And we're back on the other side. Free of the children, so I can talk to the adults about what they should think about this movie. Some of these ones where we get to the end of it, I'm really not totally sure what to say about it. For me, rewatching the movie, it's funny because rewatching Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, that really was the first time that I've watched it. I think, I don't know, probably since I was a kid. And holy crap, did I love this movie. Full disclosure behind the scenes, this is my second take on recording this background piece because I didn't like the direction that I was going before. And I suppose one of the things that I was talking about was how sometimes I find that when Claire finishes a movie that she really enjoys, it doesn't seem like she has as much effusive praise or excitement in the things that she has to say about it, even though she really enjoyed the movie a lot. And I realized while I was talking about that also applies to me. Like I said, I flat out loved watching Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I think it's underappreciated out of the two. Everybody talks about Excellent Adventure, but Bogus Journey is definitely the better movie of the two. I'm a big fan of Excellent Adventure, and I think it is a lot of fun. But the fact that there really is no villain other than the laziness of the teenage years makes it not have a lot of tension. in terms of what they're going to overcome and whether or not they'll be able to succeed. You know, Bogus Journey having a villain, multiple villains, and evil versions of themselves that they have to overcome, and like just what an excellent realization of the way that we talk about ourselves and overcoming our own personal demons, like that particular movie is. I was shocked watching it. It is amazing. And so then I finish, and I'm, you know, curious what Claire has to say, and, you know, I also have stuff to say about it, but all of my words that are coming out feel so muted in comparison to how much I really enjoyed that movie. And it's a funny thing, you know, to kind of think about the way that we process movies, and how we come out the other side talking about them, which, you know, I think that's all fine. I think that's fine. You know, you don't have to come out of a movie with a million things to say. Like, it's not Claire's job in this particular case to be a film critic. It's not my job in this case to be a film critic. I mean, really, we're, you know, going on an adventure of seeing new movies and expanding our horizons and being mindful of what we're experiencing and what we enjoy and what we don't enjoy. And like, I find that exercise to be particularly rewarding, especially in cases like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where I had not watched the movie in a long time, and I have a chance to appreciate, I think, what a masterpiece that movie was, because it plays for 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and it plays for 36-year-olds. It is a marvel. And I come out on the other side of it and I stumble over my words. Like, why wasn't Claire so excited? I think she was excited, just like I was excited. And I really couldn't find the thread of things that I wanted to say, which I guess is why we're on take 2 of this particular one. Yeah, I really enjoyed looking back at this movie, but it's it's funny because I enjoyed it so much, what I really want to talk about right now, and what I'm trying to fight, because that's not the purpose of the podcast, is how much I flippin' love this movie, and like what a great thing that I think the script is. And I'm trying to find a way to shoehorn that into talking about what Claire enjoys, and I am just failing miserably. I guess the way to relate what I enjoyed about this movie to, I think, what this really exercise is about, is that, you know, finding these movies that you can appreciate on the level of a 9-year-old and find something that you can grow with, and a movie that grows with you, is, I think, a difficult thing to find. You know, there are only a handful of movies, I think, that really truly connect with both children and adults, and on different levels, and really truly connect with you, like, in different ways as you go through your life and engage with them. And I am thrilled to discover that Bogus Journey is one of those movies for me. But, you know, this is a 30-year investment. So 30 years from now, when Claire goes back and watches Bogus Journey, and she goes, "Oh, damn, this was amazing. And I get why my dad was so excited to watch this movie all those years ago." So 30 years from now, Claire will have a great and wonderful memory and engagement with a movie that she loved in her childhood. So let's all sit and wait and hold our breaths for that moment to come. No, that's not going to happen. Let's see, what else to talk about this particular movie? You know, she was so funny about the beard stuff. Like, when I said that she was really mad about it, like, I wasn't just winding her up. She was mad about those beards. She hated that they came back with long beards on. And like, we paused it's like 2 minutes left in the movie, and we paused the end of the movie because she was that upset about the fact that they came back with beards on. And we were talking about time travel and like, how did they show up with those beards, and, you know, they went to the future, and that's how they came back with their kids and all that sort of stuff, you know. It totally threw me right at the end of the movie how emotionally invested she was in their facial hair. This is just hilarious to me. I never know what Claire is gonna connect with when I show her a movie, or like what's gonna upset her. And like she's not like proper mad, you know, like, but she was really stuck on it. And I don't think that I could have predicted that the beard thing would be something that she would react to in that way. And I found it totally hilarious. I tried not to just laugh nonstop as soon as she brought it up, because I wanna hear like why she finds those things so upsetting. And when you laugh at what somebody says, they shut down. And so I think that's a big part too of this process with Claire is, being mindful of the fact that, when we're talking about some of this stuff, some of the things that she says or observes or the connections that she makes are going to be funny. And not funny like where she's trying to make a joke, although she tries to make plenty of jokes, and I find most of her jokes actually to be quite hilarious. But when she kind of makes a silly connection or a childish connection, I think it's important to be respectful of that connection and treat it seriously. Because even at 9 years old, the connections that she makes, even if I think that they're a little bit funny, or even if they are a little bit funny, they are meaningful to her. And it's important to me that she, I suppose, has faith in the observations that she makes and the connections that she makes. Because I'll tell you something that I struggle with a lot is having, how to say this? I struggle with placing the right amount of value on the connections that I am able to make and the analysis that I am able to do of movies or life or whatever. I fall often victim to the idea that, my observation or my idea or my connection is an obvious thing, and I shouldn't say it because obvious things are dumb, and don't be obvious, Billy, and don't say obvious things. And I suppose I feel like, what's that thing where you feel like a fraud, even though you do something successfully. Like I'm very successful in my work. I feel like I'm also very successful in my side hustle as a person who writes about movies, and imposter syndrome is what I'm looking for. I constantly feel like an imposter, and I think that that's because I have not invested enough time in being more diligent about taking my own ideas seriously. So she makes these funny references, but I try not to shut them down. I try to encourage her to continue to do that and to have faith that those things are great. Because I think when you're kids, for the most part, you just say those things because you have no like wider awareness of the world. Everything is so new, and I don't want to break that in her. And so I love when she comes up with the beard the beard rage. Beard rage 2019. That was, what a great moment. I'm happy to stop the last 2 minutes of the movie and have a conversation for 5 minutes about why she's so mad they come back with beards. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then that's the continuing value for me for this whole engagement is, Claire really does have wonderful observations. And I think in the way that she struggles with making those assessments at school, that she gets too hung up in being exactly right about them or having them meet expectations, and that the newness of this exercise to her is really immensely valuable because she has no expectations for it. She's just participating and being herself, and I want to encourage her to do that all the time in all the places. Because that's something I think that we all ultimately struggle with in our life is the confidence to be ourselves. So if you fucking hate beards when they come back from the future, you hate those beards. Bogus Journey was amazing. I think it's great for 9-year-olds and 36-year-olds, parents and kids. Man, if you haven't sat down and watched this with your kids, they'll have a ton of fun with it. I definitely recommend both movies in this series. And I understand that they're pretty far along in putting together a third one, so I'm really excited to see what they wind up doing for that. All right, I think that'll do it for this particular edition. So you can find Bill and Claire's Excellent Adventure on Twitter at BACEA Podcast. That's just our abbreviated letters followed by podcast. And you can find In the Mouth of Darkness on Twitter at ItModcast. And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/itmodcast. If you haven't liked the page, please go over there and like it. You can find the other dorks. Well, I guess you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd at WBDAS. You can find Brad Gullickson at The Mouth Dork on all social medias. You can find Lisa Gullickson at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter and Letterboxd and Instagram. You can also find her at Bake Dork. You can find Brian Young at The Turtle Dork on Twitter and at The Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram. And you can find Darren Smith, The Disco Dork, as at The Disco Dork on all social medias. And that'll do it for now. So until next time.